Welcome to the Feral Garden. Time for a winter update. Welcome back to the Feral Garden. Time for our winter update. Have a little look around the garden, see what's growing well in the winter garden, and also some of the changes I might be making. Let's get going. So let's take a walk around the Feral Garden in winter. And we'll start by looking at the wicking beds. As you can see, we've got lots of broccoli over here gone to seed. I'm leaving that so I collect the seed from it, but the bees absolutely love it. One of the problems we have here, I think it's too warm for most of the broccolis to really set, so they often shoot quite quickly. Some of them I don't think I'll use again, but I'm going to leave some of the flowers on, just to give the bees a bit of a feed during winter when there aren't that many other flowers around. You can see a lot of them have gone to seed. We do get a good feeder harvest out of here. I like to get these little odd sprouting bits of the broccoli over here. We cut those off, a little bit like broccolini. Then we have some nice heads of broccoli as well. Got a couple over here to harvest. Taking those over the next couple of days before they shoot as well. So while I say the broccoli doesn't do too well, it's done better this year than most other years. So this bed will be cleaned out very soon. I'll start harvesting most of that broccoli and then we'll get it ready for summer. Over in the other wicking bed, we have a bit of Chinese cabbage left. We have some kale, different stages, mizuno, both yellow and green. We also have some tatsoi, and then these kale over here. We've been harvesting those over the last couple of months. A solid harvest on a regular basis. Add them to stir fries, put them in all sorts of different things. This particular bed's got a bit of vermiculite down the bottom. I'll be adding that to the other bed when I clean it out. This is generally what the winter beds look like. They sort of get a bit overgrown, a little bit too much in them at times. And as I said, really, we don't spend that much time in the garden in winter, so we want them to look after themselves. We've got Tuppence down here saying hello. She wants to say good day to everyone. She likes to guard the garden for us as well. Now, the aquaponics. The fish are going all right. They're quite happy down here. All I can tell you is, don't leave a siphon in. I nearly siphoned all the water out of my poor little fishies the other day. They weren't too happy about that at all, but they managed to survive. If you're going to put a siphon in, make sure it's only a very small one. We've also had a ammonia spike, which I think was down to the Charlie carp I was putting in to try and keep our greens going well. I'm not using Charlie carp at all in the aquaponics again, I'll just use that in the garden. This is our green section. You can see I've put the filter canisters back on, and that was because of that ammonia spike. I had a lot of trouble getting the pH right and the ammonia right and everything right. Aquaponics is very good when everything's going well, but when things go awry, not so good. There's a couple of little seedlings I planted yesterday. This will be the next bed we'll be planting up. So I like to have one bed on the run, one bed sort of with seedlings, and one bed having a little bit of a rest. So this one over here is where we're harvesting. These are absolutely great in stir fry. We have some nice lettuce over there, and I like to use my aquaponics for the leafy greens. My other wicking beds over here may be the IBCs. You can see this one has got a beautiful pea in it. This is one of the Diggers peas. It's a yellow pea, but you'll see it has beautiful purple flowers. Those purple flowers turn into the yellow peas, and we had some of those in a stir fry the other day. I got to say, I am really happy with all of the seeds that have come from the Diggers catalogue, particularly their heritage collections. And this is done absolutely superbly, this pea. Down the bottom, again, the silver beet for our leafy greens, and in the middle we have cilantro. Of course, our coriander, because that can only really grow in winter. It tends to bolt, and it's bolting even in winter here. We've had quite a mild winter. The next bed is completely taken over with sweet potato. It's a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to see whether it's worth it for bang for buck. So I'm letting that die down, and once it dies down I'll have a little dig around and see what we end up with in sweet potatoes. So that's the main part of the feral garden. Now if we come around to the other side, not too much happening at the moment. Pretty well everything's closed down. I don't do the hydroponics in winter. I still have the bags over here. We have our grow bags. We've got some perpetual spinach. We also have some chilies which I cut back and grown again. This one over here is very, very hot. I'll be actually trimming it down. It's starting to fall apart. They're not going too well at the moment. We had a good harvest off those. We've actually had 2 harvests off that one plant. We have our herb garden over here. Tends to pretty well look after itself. Just put a bit of rocket and a few other things in it again. You see the coriander has gone silly in there as well. Doesn't tend to like our warm winters at all. So we'll go and have a little bit of a look around at our potting shed. Now off on our way to our potting shed. Not the most organised potting shed in the world, but that's the way it is sometimes. I've got some lettuce seedlings. I just planted those out yesterday. I like to put a couple in each of the little sections there and see how they go. Lots of other seedlings there from winter crops. Still got some rocket, Mizuno, Tatsoi, even got some silver beet in those containers. Some of them I'll give away, others I might plant out. Just starting with our tomatoes. So we've got our tomato plants. I put in a whole range of different ones at the moment and they are just shooting. So there you can see the ones we've got. Got a few of the tomatoes that I was given shooting quite nicely, and others not doing very well at all. So I'll give them a bit of time, but I'll keep that covered over. They need the warmth before they really shoot, and then later I'll put them into pots and see if we can get a good start to the tomatoes this year. That's pretty well it for the old feral potting shed. And as I said, we'll be starting more our summer crop in here a little bit later on. Well, that was a little look around the feral garden in winter. So what's happening in the future? Well, one thing I'm thinking about at the moment is maybe not having the aquaponics anymore. I'll keep it going at the moment, but eventually I think I'll change that into wicking beds as well. They're much easier to look after. That ammonia spike took a long time to get under control, and it's not a thing you really want someone else to have to do. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm also looking at starting up the hydroponics again. We might look at a Dutch bucket system. Whether we do the Kratky system, I'm not sure, but that's more of a summer project. And that old gardening shed, well, eventually it's going to have to go and be updated as well. But there are plenty of other projects on the way in the feral garden, so make sure you stay tuned.